Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Facebook? What's going on, YouTube? I apologize for being late. It was not my fault. I promise you guys, it was not my fault. But we here. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. As you guys know, I don't do this alone. So let me introduce my amazing panel to you. We got the first lady of the Bearded Man Chronicles. Everybody, welcome Shay to the show. What's
Thank
up? What's
you,
up? What's going on
everyone.
with you?
And it was his fault.
Listen, it's always me, but
It
listen,
was
I
his
take the blame.
fault.
So listen, I've been I had this guy on my show for the last couple weeks. He also have his own YouTube channel as well. So let's welcome back Terrell to the show. What's up, man? What's going on with you?
What's up,
Yay.
guys? How y'all doing?
Good, good.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody in the comments? We greatly appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 44, Black History Talk. If you guys new to the podcast, be sure to like, share, subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to share. Please share. We greatly appreciate that. Before we get into today's topic, I like to open up the show with an icebreaker. So I'm trying to see, what is that one food that you ate as a kid that you would not eat as an adult?
Ooh, I got one. Soup. My mom used to make the soup with the potatoes, and it had the what do you call it? The what is it? The I don't even know the meat. It was not neck bones, but the other one that everybody likes.
Chicken and dumplings.
No, it was like a pork, I think. And it was
Soup?
round, and she would put it in the soup with the carrots.
Beef? Is it beef roast? Beef?
No, I forgot, but everybody talks about it. I don't like that, so I'm not a soup eater. I hate soup.
Oh wow! What's up, Sam? What's going on? What's up, Will? Everybody, welcome. What about you, T? What's that one food that you ate as a kid that you would not eat now?
Potted meat. Potted meat.
What is
Have y'all
that?
ever had it? So it came in the same can as Vienna sausages. And it kind of looks like cat food to me today. But it was called potted meat, and my grandmother used to put it on Ritz crackers, and we used to eat it, and it used to be like a snack. Now I would never ever purchase or consume that.
Oh wow, potted meat. Okay.
Potted meat. It's
Never
usually
heard of it.
in a blue can.
Now I remember Spam as a kid, but is that the same as potted meat?
It's same concept, but different type of meat.
Wow. For for me, it's Salisbury steaks. You know the little frozen ones, the little
I
banquet.
I
love those.
love those.
That's because we ate those. We ate those so
Those are bomb.
much.
I love those.
Those are bomb.
Listen,
With some salt and pepper.
no,
You gotta
Okay.
fix it up.
Just like the mashed potatoes. This is most
No, no,
definitely.
no.
Like
I think-
I love the mashed potatoes.
I think because it was so many of us, it was a quick dinner to throw all them different trays in the oven, take it out. Listen, so I used to go home. What's for dinner? Salisbury steak. I would literally go to bed hungry. I won't eat. No. Now I love meatloaf, and I like homemade like Salisbury steaks, but those banquet dinners, those frozen ones, nah.
So the mashed potatoes and the banquet dinners were the bomb. You could put a little butter on there with some salt and pepper and hook those up. And then the Salisbury steak, you could hook that up too. Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
No, I couldn't. Yeah. Let's go to the comments. William said bologna. He said, now I love fried bologna.
Me
I
too.
fuck with bologna.
Fried bologna with some
crazy.
Miracle Whip on a sandwich.
Oh. With
Miracle Whip.
the burnt edges. Come on.
Y'all don't eat Miracle Whip?
I ate Miracle Whip as a kid. I hated it.
I like mayo though.
I do. Miracle Whip is too sweet.
It is.
Oh, I love it. And tuna fish.
Sweet.
So listen, since we're talking about food,
Ooh.
we might as well jump right into it and talk about foods that's relative to Black history. You know, I think a lot of people don't know the history behind the chitlins and pig feed, and I think people just think that we just eat bad. You know, but what people don't understand is that those foods like the chitlins and the pig feet and the pig ears, you know, we had to make a delicatessen out of it because those we were only given scraps. You know, we wasn't given the bacon, we weren't given the pork chops and the pork steaks and the ham. We wasn't given those pieces. So as a people, as a resilient race, we made a delicatessen out of it, and it has been passed down for generations and generations and generations. So I have to always educate people on that, because a lot of people think, why would people want to eat some they call them chitlins and stuff, and I have to actually sit them down and have conversations. I'm like, well, we wasn't privy to the pork steaks and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? We wasn't privy to that. What are you guys' perspectives on that? Do you guys eat those foods now? And if not, why?
I
So
definitely don't eat those chillins, but go ahead.
I grew up where both sides of the family would cook chitlins. I very vaguely seen pig feet. Chitlins, like I was very particular, like I was open to it because my family ate it, so it wasn't like something that was like because it was something that we grew up seeing.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely don't eat them often. Like it's probably every couple years I may, if my grandma's making them and I'll eat some, but I don't eat. I don't. She's probably the only person that I would eat them. At her house, I wouldn't go to someone else's house and consume those because it's a process to cleaning them, a process to preparing them, and I just really don't trust everybody to go through all those steps to prepare their food. And I know how my grandma rolls, so I do eat it, but it's not. It doesn't. It's not nasty to me. Like it doesn't taste nasty. I don't eat anything that doesn't taste good to me. So let me just say that it's not painful to eat or anything like that, but I enjoy it. It's not something that I will ever request or order or anything like that, but I do eat it if my grandmother has
I can't eat it because it stinks. Anything that smells that bad before you cook it and while you're cooking it
it.
is an automatic turn off to me. So you could tell me that it tastes like heaven. The
Mhm.
smell takes it takes the desire of from me to me it takes the desire away from me.
Absolutely.
So I've tasted chitterlings before.
Mhm.
My mom used to cook them, and my brother used to cook them. I tasted them as a child because I was unaware, and I really probably didn't have really a choice. But
Hmm.
as I gotten older, I realized that it's pig's poop and or their intestines or their booty hole or something. I
Oh
don't. It's
God,
Not the
something.
booty
it's
hole.
not the booty.
Not the booty hole.
Oh, oh, that's the ham. That's the butthole.
Well, I love ham. When I say I love ham, ham is good. Some honey baked ham. Oh,
So
sign me up.
listen, yeah, to eat the booty.
What's up,
Okay,
Trinity? Welcome,
now.
Amina.
Okay, okay.
so, so those foods that we talk about, and that it's a staple to the Black culture, and it's I don't think a lot of people make. I don't think a lot of people eat them because of. Well, we always had something like black eyed peas. What they say, they give you prosperity. They always made something. Have you guys heard that black eyed peas supposed to give you money or prosperity or
I
something?
eat them every first of the year.
I don't like them things. I do not like them things. I try. Listen, I thought it was like maybe I was a kid. Maybe my taste buds need to develop it. My mom made some the beginning of this year, and I was like, I'm gonna try it, open mind. I can swallow that shit. Oop, I can swallow that. That
I'm not
shit
a
is
big fan of
nasty.
black eyed peas either. I mean, even with onions, and I'm a onion fanatic. I'm just not I'm not big on that. But soul food was the term soul food was really people cooking, from the soul, and making meals out of no meals, making meals out of scraps. So that's where soul food came from. I actually had a conversation with someone today, and they was like, "Oh, I just thought it was, black people just." I'm like, it's history behind that. It's not just we like fried chicken, mac and cheese. I mean, we do, but it's history behind that. And so,
But
uh,
I hear people always say something about like black people like fried foods or fried chicken. The crazy thing is white people in all other cultures like these same things that we like. Now, whether they're
Mhm.
seasoned to perfection or not, that's a whole different ball game. If they
Yeah.
just take naked chicken, dip it in egg and some flour and eat it and fry it, that's different. We have different seasonings, so that could very well cause us to be hypertension, high cholesterol, frying the fruits frequently, more frequently than them. But watermelon is bought by Caucasians. Watermelon is bought by Asians. Watermelon is bought by African Americans. Fried chicken is bought by African
Mhm.
Americans, caught by Caucasians, by Indians, by Arabs. When you go to these buffets, they have fried chicken there, and I don't only see African Americans eating that. I see all cultures eating them.
Mhm.
So I think it's a stigma where they put it in our
Perpetuate.
heads to
Mhm.
believe that we're the only race out here that likes eating fried chicken or watermelon. I'm not gonna not eat watermelon because somebody white said that that's they made a joke out of it that black people eat watermelon. So you have a lot of black people out here that don't eat watermelon just because of that stigma. Versus to I really like it, I want to eat it because other cultures do it too. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if they do it or not. If that's what you like, stick to what you like.
But um to add to that, we wasn't privy to the whole foods, the healthy things. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, as a culture, sometimes we don't know how to eat because we only eat what we was brought up on. If you was brought up on all of that stuff and you wasn't introduced to avocado and things like that, how do you just go eat some stuff that you know what I mean?
That's
That
true.
stuff wasn't privy to us. If you look in our neighborhoods and like the urban areas, how many Whole Food stores do you see?
Yeah.
Oh, now it's different, but
Now, yeah, now
back
it's, I mean, it's
then,
it's
no.
somewhat different, but if you can go into the neighborhood, you got a Popeyes, a KFC, and a Church's Chicken, and all the places fighting against each other trying to see what customers to get. But
I
you don't.
just I just think it's weird though. Like we're the only we're the only people that get stereotyped with food, really. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
no, like what would be the stereotype for a Caucasian person with food? There isn't one. Like you
Yeah,
can't
it is.
think
It's
of.
that they don't know how to cook and it's very
Yeah,
bland.
yeah. I mean that they don't know how
Yeah.
to cook or season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like but as far as like specific foods, like I don't understand. I've never understood a watermelon reference. I've never understood a fried chicken reference because, like you said, Shay, everybody enjoys it. So it's like, why? What is the joke behind it? What is the stigma behind it? So I've never understood that.
What does Black History mean to you guys? Shay, take us away.
Oh man, why you go?
You see, I look down. I'm like,
What does Black
You
History?
know what? Black history to me means history and a revolution, a movement. It was a foundation.
Mhm.
It was sacrifice. Black history is in itself gives me goosebumps because to think about where we were to where we are now is astounding. And it's astounding because we don't even realize the blessing and the privileges that we have now. We take this shit literally for granted
All right.
to work and make great money.
Hmm.
And granted, we have a long ways to go, but Black history in itself is such an importance and it's so significant to us as a culture that we don't even recognize how really significant it is.
Yeah, it's same for me. When I think of Black History, I think of I the first thing that come to mind is resilient. We are a very resilient race. Um, we have overcame a lot. And one thing I can say about us as a people, we make a way out of no way. Where a lot of these people, you see a lot of people jumping off buildings, they lose their jobs and they killing themselves, killing their family. Well, us as a people, we know how to bounce back from stuff. We know how to make a way out of no way. So when I think of Black history, I think of resiliency. I think of powerful people, very smart people, and that's why they try to oppress us because they know our gifts and they know our talents, and that they try to do anything to suppress us, to keep us in this mindset or this divide. But I mean, we have a long ways to go, but I feel like we have came a long way, but we still have a long ways to go. But we are a resilient race.
We had a conversation, my best friend and I, last weekend. No, the weekend. Yeah, last weekend when we were traveling, and she said something that was so freaking crazy that I've been thinking about it since that day. She said, "You can go anywhere in the world, and black people are hated. It doesn't matter where you go. Everywhere in the world, we are not liked.
Mm.
Why is it? It is something in history that they know about us that we haven't found out and we don't know to make them dislike us. And
Mhm.
it's an advantage to us, but nobody's figured that out yet.
I'm gonna be
And
honest
I've
with you.
thought about that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Going to the reason how I think and what Black history means to me is the soul. Like there's so much soul in us. Like when you meet another black person, you can just feel them. You know what I mean? Like we always bring that extra. We always bring something significant, something powerful, something unique, whether it's cooking, whether it's dancing, whether it's energy, our music, anything that we touch and create is so rich. One thing that I can say Black history is what it means to me is just I'm so proud to be part of a people that, again, like KJ said, is resilient,
Mhm.
you know, and what our people has done and what has our people has made it through. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like the oppression that we continue to fight each and every single day and where we are today is amazing. It's amazing. So it makes me proud every single day to wake up knowing that I'm a black man in America and doing the things that I'm doing with, you know, the reason being is because my ancestors fought
Hmm.
for these rights, fought for me to have this job, to drive this car, to make this income, to have a voice,
Mhm.
to have the ability to vote. Like it's the
Amen.
soul of our people that may be intimidated to other people because they know what we're capable of when our back is against the wall and when we have to do what we need to do. So that's why I think a lot of people are intimidated because of the power of our soul.
Think about it. There are bills in place to stop teaching, to take out history, black histories in schools. They're not just taking black history out of schools just because they
Exactly.
bored. They taking black history out of schools because they know that it is health. I mean, it is wealth and empowerment in black
Mhm.
history. They doing everything they can to stop us from, it ain't them that they trying to stop. They don't want us to be great because they realize and looking like, oh shit, these people are realizing um, certain things and understanding certain things, and they finding out, digging and finding the truth to certain things,
That's where you're going.
and
Yes.
and they trying to stop that.
Yes.
And it's so like it's just unbelievable to me, the miles that they're taking and taking to pretty much suppress kids of their history.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
is why it's important to educate our children. Like they can take Black history out of schools, but they can't take Black history from us. You
Right.
know, we can teach that in our children. We can educate them on certain things. You know, just because they take it out, is that going to be bad? Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
However, if you instill and teach them stuff and just ask them questions so that they can know, I think we'll be fine.
And I
We'll
think
be
it's the
fine.
follow through. It's the follow through of making sure that we are teaching when they do remove the education and the teaching of it. Because I can't imagine, being a black man and not knowing the struggle and not knowing the obstacles and the oppression that we had to endure, and my mindset and how I would value things had I not been taught or known what it is that we've gone through. So I think, it's very important that if that does happen to where they completely remove it from the curriculum, that we teach our kids that, hey, this is where we come from. You know what I'm saying? This is our story. This is where, you know, our ancestors had to fight. This is not always been the way of life. This is not have always been an access to you, you know, and just kind of making sure that they're aware, you know, of why some people's mindsets, because like, again, you can meet somebody that's friendly and smile in your face and may not seem prejudiced, but they can very well be prejudiced and want to keep you at a certain level and not want to see you exceed a certain point or get certain information or certain knowledge because of that.
Right. Dad said something. He said, I don't know if this new generation even respect what our ancestors endured to relay it to their children. That's the real problem.
And I was going to say that
Yeah.
I get it that you guys think that it's good taking it out of the schools, but I actually have to disagree.
Yeah.
Because you have so many young parents that don't even understand the importance of Black history. Just like Kevin and I were talking earlier, I can count on everybody's fingers on here, toes, everybody that's watching, fingers and toes, and I won't have enough fingers and toes to count how many Black people celebrate fucking what is it, St. Patrick's Day.
We all go out, get our green shoes, get our green tees.
You can't count. But when you have something like Black History Month, I hardly see anybody post anything on Facebook about Black History Month. At my job, in our chat, we have a chat with all of our salary in there. Every week, once a week, I posted something about Black history. Yet it was a few people here and there. It was over 100 people in that chat. But it was maybe 10 people who actually commented on that, which is sad because it's us. We have to start in our own house. We have to start with the celebration and demanding that, you know, this be noticed and that we put it out there. So to rely on parents that's 25, that's 30 to instill in their children, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, things like that, to rely on them to instill and educate their children on the struggles that Harriet Tubman went through. No, it will probably never get conveyed. So I don't know if it's respected, like Des said, enough for them to even give a shit to say, I want to teach my children.
So I guess my question is, where's the disconnect? You know, we Cinco de Mayo, and I'm gonna be honest, I know it's a Mexican, right? Mexican holiday. That's all I know. They got good drinks. But a lot of us, when I go to those Cinco de Mayo parades, I see a lot of us.
Yes.
When I go, even and I'm guilty of it. We go out for St. Patrick's Day. We got our matching Nikes and tees and hats, and it's a lot of us there. But if we have a Black History Parade, and you look around, you see the older generation, but the new generation, you don't see them. So there's a disconnect. How do we fix this disconnect?
I feel like it's an out of sight, out of mind thing, you know. And I know that it's not an excuse. I think it's just more so it's far in the distance, but it's actually yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
But
it's not that far.
What's far out of sight, out of mind? Tell me what do you mean by that?
Like, as far as like with new generation, you know what I mean? Like, you see it in textbooks. Like, prime example, like with riots. You know what I'm saying? Riots and protesting. That was a textbook thing for me. But during the pandemic, to see it, that made it real. That made it like, oh my God, like this is really happening. You know, watching buildings on fire, cars burning, people being pepper sprayed, police lines out there pushing the people, seeing people fighting and standing up for rights. Like, that was real because it's in real time. But looking far back, I think sometimes it's hard to connect to certain things when it's far distance from you. But like with my grandmother, me speaking with my grandmother and hearing her experiences and then her mother experiences, because it's my grandmother, I'm feeling closer to the experience,
because
to where it's more personable to, you know, imagine my grandmother with her mother being a maid in a white person's home, and her telling me about, you know, this just the different processes of how, you know, her mom had to provide. That made it real for me.
Yeah.
But reading it in a book, seeing it in a book, it was, for me, sometimes it does just seem like a distant thing that I process, but it's hard for me to connect to due to the fact that I don't see this, I don't experience it.
So
That's my
I'm
personal.
trying to understand what you're saying. So, because I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So, are you saying that you feel that our Black communities can't connect to Black History Month and the history and understand the Black history because it's in the book, but Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day, because it's in their face, they can get it?
No, I feel like it's two. I feel like that's two different reasons. I feel like people go to St. Patrick's Day for a reason to
To
drink,
drink, to
be
drink.
off, to, you know what I'm saying? People, like, if you tell them, hey, listen, it's barbecue grill day, you can go home. Like, they're gonna go home, they're gonna light up the grill. You're gonna give them a reason, they're gonna take it. I don't think they're going to St. Patty's Day because of anything of the reason what St. Patrick's Day stand for, outside of the fact that it's a drinking holiday. Um, I don't know
Uh
if
oh, something happened.
but I really just think that, you know, people look for reasons to go out and celebrate and hang out. But as far as connecting to Black History Month, I feel like sometimes people just are far removed from it because they're not connected to it. When you're
I,
talking about the disconnect, I don't think people are connecting to what our people been through. I connect because of the experiences that my grandmother shared with me, and it
right.
makes me more, you know, it makes me more like aware, like, damn, grandma, you went through that, you did that, grandma, big mama went through that. Like, it makes it more personable because it's so close to my family. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if it's a Black person on this earth that hasn't had a connection with somebody who's experienced racism, prejudiceness, that had a person in their life or history that dealt with prejudiceness or had an experience with that. I don't think
Mhm.
it's a Black person on this planet to say that you have to be close to an experience in order to make it so real. I don't know, because I don't know any Black person that I've ever talked to that can say, yeah, my family has never experienced something of that type of nature, I guess. Now, if you're speaking of close, like within the last two generations, then okay, maybe not. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I'm almost certain that, again, somewhere down in the generation pool, they had some type of experience with what you're speaking of. I,
I
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Kevin. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I was just going to add that I believe, I think what he's saying is that um, you get a closer sense of it coming from. So the Rosa Parks story, right? We heard, we see it through movies, we read it through books, but to hear someone that was on that bus at that particular time, you almost get a sense of how it really is. Like, we all can imagine to this day, like, as a slave, I most definitely wouldn't have made it, because I would have been, I would have been whooping ass.
Well, no,
You
because your mind, it would have been different. You
well,
were in a
well,
different
that's what
time.
I'm saying now. I can't put myself right now as a slave and what they've been through. I can't say as a father that I would have threw my newborn off the ship just so that they wouldn't have to go through. I'm saying this now, but if you had somebody that was there and they could experience it, I think that's what Terrell's saying. That you can. It's like something. It brings you much
So my
closer.
question, what's the guy's name that they had the foot on? George Mayweather?
Uh,
Floyd.
George
George
Floyd.
George
Floyd.
Floyd. I think every Black man in America, outside of America, in Africa, in Jamaica, every Black man in this world, when that happened, that was an experience that they all went through. They
Mhm,
wasn't connected to him personally, but
mhm.
it was an experience
But
that
they're
you
connected to the
experienced.
time.
But we
It's in
connected to
the
that
So,
time.
time and what we
Yeah,
saw, though.
so to
yeah.
me, to I feel like, and it's just my personal opinion, we make 100 excuses why our culture is shitty. Like
Mhm.
we make 100 excuses. Like it's like, oh well, the white man did this, the white man took that. And granted, those things do cause us some type of shortcomings at times. We can be lagging a little bit, we can be behind the next person. But
Mhm.
I think that reality is we have come to me, we have become so complacent with making excuses that a lot of our black men and black girls are comfortable with food stamps, are comfortable with Section 8 because we've made it acceptable and
Mm.
okay. And where it's not, it used to be how many people have food stamps that was ashamed to spend food stamps? A
Yeah.
lot of us were
Yeah.
because it wasn't cool then. Now you can meet a person and they'll tell you up front, I got Section 8. I work, I'm gonna keep working at McDonald's making $10 because I don't want to pay my rent.
Yeah.
Our culture has become so complacent and
Mhm.
okay with being mediocre.
I think what it is too is that a lot of us think we're free. They think the fight is over. You know what I mean? They think, oh, that was then. We're
Yeah.
not there no more.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that mentality, you have some people who are like, no, like we have to continue going.
Hmm.
And the people that think that the fight is over and they think that we're just free, they're they're divided. They stand alone. They don't care about you. They don't care about the next person. They don't care about nobody but themselves. It doesn't serve them. It's
Mhm.
not for them. It doesn't matter. They don't care
Right.
about Black history. It's about me now, what I'm doing tomorrow, what I'm doing today. That's what it's about. And I think the mixed bag of some people realizing like, hey, it's still some oppression out here. There's some still, room for a distance for us to stride. Some people are just like, no.
So the
What
question
about today
was,
and now?
where's the disconnect?
I think the disconnect is within is so. I always say this:
The
before
eye of the
you can do
beholder.
anything, you have to start at home, and home
Yeah.
is within ourselves. We have to before we go out and we help other people. We have to start home. Our people
Mhm,
is our home. How do
mhm,
you? We can you can go to an Arabic business and you give this man the utmost respect.
mhm,
But here it is: you come into my establishment,
mhm,
you'll rob me, you
mhm,
will shoot me, you'll
mhm.
do all of these things. But then again, you will give this other person, same business, different race, a much more respect. But that all goes back to the if you guys don't know the Willie Lynch letter, which it wasn't a letter, it was actually a speech that was given. And what this man did, he was a slave owner. Y'all go back and research this. What he did was gave a speech on how to control black people.
Mhm.
And so that's why you have colorism. This is where you have the dark skin and then you have the light skin mindset. So it all goes back to history. You know what I mean? But it all starts at home. Now, how do we bridge this gap? Is a great question. I would say for me, I think it's important for this young generation to watch certain movies. I think it's important for us to take these our children to museums and cultural things so that they can understand certain things. I remember watching Roots on CBS because we didn't have cable, so you only had 3, 4 channels. And remember, they had the history.
6274
And
Yeah.
Channel 9 is where they gave
With
you all the
it.
history stuff. So I would watch those, but more importantly, I learned a lot of that in school. I
Yeah.
really feel sorry for the school system nowadays. I learned a lot in school. I learned a lot about history, not because my family may have spoke of it, but I learned a lot of that in schools.
Yeah.
So to share Shay's point, to take that out of schools, yeah, we will be. I didn't look at it like that until she said that. We will be in big trouble because
We will.
if you don't know something, how can you teach somebody something that you don't know?
So I had this teacher. um, he was a he was a Black history teacher, and it was actually a class, Black history. And he had this box behind his desk, and a part of the final exam, I want to say it was 5 people, 5 students had to sit in this box together behind his desk, the entire class. And this was the experience of the ship when they were captured and brought to America. And that was a very uncomfortable experience that was real. And we was like, oh my God, like we really got to sit in this. Yeah, if you want to pass my class, but I will never forget that. That was such a moment, a teachable moment to, let people know this is what it felt like to be literally no room to move, and brought and taken from your family, taken from all that and brought over to America. So that's one thing. What was his name? I think his name was Mr. Dolly or something over at VTOL in Michigan.
Wow.
Shout out to him.
I remember I went to go see the exhibit over in the Charles Wright Museum in the basement. They have this ship. And one thing about this ship that a lot of people didn't know, that you were tied to people that were dead.
Yeah.
You were tied to people that was in their feces. It was really a toxic, very not very humane place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to where the disconnect is, I think to me the biggest disconnect is accountability in our culture. And when I say accountability, I'm not saying we got to be accountable for a lot of stuff. We got to be accountable for our failures. We got to be accountable for our mistakes. We got to be accountable for all of our successes. We have to be accountable. And I remember when, what's that guy's name who stole from the city? Kwame Kilpatrick. When he stole, you know what people was actually saying? He stole from his people. But they said, white people do it all the time. They just trying to punish him because he black. And I'm like, you're missing the point. He did something he wasn't supposed to. And we have to say, hey, you know what? You caught me. I did it. My bad. Okay, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to be better. But instead, we make up all these excuses. Oh, well, you shot a boy who stole a bag of chips that was $25. And the only reason the store owner shot him is because he was black. No, take the beginning of it. He shouldn't have been stealing. Let's start talking about the issue. The disconnect is we make 100 excuses about things that we need to be accountable for. And when our culture begins to say, hey, let's start to educate our black men. Let's start to get more fathers committed to being fathers and being in the home of their children. Let's get mothers off of FIA, off of Section 8. Let's get fathers off of Section 8. Let's get better schooling in our communities. Let's fight for the killings in our communities before we start fighting for them outside of our communities. That's where the disconnect is, because what we do is we throw stones at everybody else that's around us, but don't worry about what the stones that's being thrown in the inside of our culture. And that's how they're able to leverage and hold us against us, because we don't see that. We make excuses while we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. We make excuses while we celebrate Cinco de Mayo Day, but we don't make excuses for all these other things that we should not. We just need to stop. Black History Month is in your face. Every single day is a killing almost. It is sad that 5 cops killed a black guy, and guess what? They all got convicted within a week and fired.
And guess what? They all was black.
How many white cops have we seen that it took months and years? Who was on paid leave?
Yeah, paid leave.
We see it every day. We don't have to go back to Harriet Tubman days to get the experience. It's in our face every single day. So again, it starts with us recognizing that there is a disconnect and willing to really be vulnerable and put those things on the plate and on the forefront so that we can become a better culture. And that's where, to me, the disconnect is.
So some in the comments said the mindset of some is still in bondage, not the people. The disconnect is within the African American community. That is very profound. And I have to actually 100% agree with him, because it, like you said, they're going to do everything in their power to make us look bad.
Mhm.
I remember when I was finishing up my master's program, and I had this class. Really was a class that I'm like, why do I have this class? And well, I had to do a research, and I had to research. She gave us a topic. It was a group assignment, and we researched what was like the importance of having the head in the house, which it was almost, I think it was a finance class, but I'm like, why would we have this? But when I started researching and understanding things, like when it comes to why you have a lot of fatherless, you don't see a two-parent household. People don't understand why, because what they did was they divided the mothers and the fathers. They said, hey, we'll give you free this and this, but in order to get free this and this, you can't have this man in the house.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what they did was, oh my God,
That started in Chicago.
that's powerful.
They started in Chicago.
They divided, they
Oh.
killed the black family because
Mhm.
what they did was they said, okay,
They became the man.
they know that we're powerful, especially in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They know that how powerful the black man is. And so what they did was they said, what can we do to take him out the household? But a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think that all men just walked away. No, it's not that. That's not the case in all cases. A lot of them, yes. But what they did was they said, hey, we know you have a kid with this person, but he can't be in a house. So if you stand in an impoverished neighborhood, and of course they didn't give us the type of jobs we needed in order to support ourselves. So it's like, okay, let me take this instead of this. So black women took their children, they took all of the assistance that they can to support them and their children. And here it is, the black man was on the outskirts. So that's why there are a lot of fatherless homes. And I had to educate someone on that. They're like, well, why is there a lot of black? I said, well, I was raised in a household, like my parents were deceased young. I was raised with my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandmother raised just about all of her grandkids. I can't remember us missing a meal. You know what I mean? My grandfather was a stern and strict provider, which I think that he distilled in me and a lot of my other some of my other cousins. But I remember my grandfather working hard. So I see an example of what how a man should be and how a family should be ran. I remember my grandfather, the story that I was told, that he was sent up here from down south at 13 years old with a pork crackling sandwich and some tea. This is what I was told, him and his brother. My grandfather was working at the plant, I think at like 14, 15. But back then they couldn't verify your age. You know how you have age and stuff like that? And he worked for the auto. A lot of black people migrated to the north because you can support your family. You can have a 6-figure salary with no degree, no certification, because the automotive industry was booming at that time.
Mhm.
And so he moved here. Him and my grandmother, they had 6 kids, raised their kids, and he retired. But when my grandfather died, I realized my grandfather he knew how to read, but didn't know how to comprehend. I learned that because of some of the paperwork that he signed and stuff like that. I realized he didn't have the know-it-all to understand, But again, black families, they was like, hey, you got a boy, it was either school or work. Back then it was work. So guess what they did? They pushed their sons off to work. So there's really, really deep rooted history within us in our community. And there's also issues too.
Yeah.
That we still struggle with, that they oppress us with, even like redlining. Do you know what redlining is?
They started that in Chicago when that
Right.
redlining started in Chicago.
But I'm
when they
saying, have you
started
ever
with the
have you guys, and I'm talking to the people in the audience that's watching, the watchers, have you guys heard of redlining? Do you know what redlining is, T?
No, I don't.
So redlining was how a lot of us couldn't live in certain areas.
Mhm.
That's why you have a lot of the people, a lot of us in urban areas, and then you have more of the Caucasians in the suburban areas because we were redlined. We
It was
couldn't
a
get
movie. You don't remember the movie that just came out maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, with the black couple that had moved out in
Them.
Chicago. It was based out in Chicago, out of Chicago, and and the ladies talked about redlining and that they wasn't supposed to be over there because anytime a black person went into a white community, it took the value of the community down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was the redlining in Chicago where they started having them over, I believe, on the south side, and they couldn't come past the south side. Although, even while they were over in the south side, if they had a man in their households, they couldn't get the food stamps or whatever. But they also even did it even further. They started to put them in those tall buildings. I forgot what they call what do they call the projects. So they started making projects. It was crazy. You have to. I'm gonna get that movie for you.
And so that's what they did. They made it where we couldn't live in suburbs, and we can live everywhere. But it's crazy how we moving out to the burbs, and they moving back into the city. And look, because they move into the city, look how places that we used to live as a kid, we can't afford to live there now because they made them 700, $800,000 now. Those neighborhoods, it's really crazy. Um, it's really crazy the stuff that we go through, but I do think that we have to change the mindset of
Mm-hmm.
our youth. Um, that saying that it takes a village to raise a child is 100% accurate because it takes the educators, but it also takes us to do our job at home as well
Mm-hmm.
and to continue what they are doing. So that's saying, and now you don't even have a village anymore. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, you know, we had our neighbors to chastise us, the teachers can whoop us or chastise us. That was our village, the church, all of those. But now you can't even whoop your kids because guess what? If you whoop your kids, you're going to jail
Yep.
for abuse. So, but they internally destroying the village. Like, I think you really have to look deep. When you look deep and realize what's going on and you remove those blinders from your eyes, a lot of things come into fruition and you say, wow, this is what's going on. Because I can admit, I was one of those naive people. They're like, it ain't that bad. Well, guess what? I feel like that because our ancestors did all the fighting so that I can eat here and drive this and live here and do all of this stuff. But I know for a fact I experienced racism. Even in interviews. I have 3 degrees, but I'm almost depicted. You know, when I go into these interviews and I'm sitting outside for an interview, and then I see, you know, my other people interviewing and they're Caucasian, it's almost like I have to go there with 10 toes down without missing anything. If the job says you need a bachelor's, I need to have a doctor's just to make sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they it's set up for us not to win. But one thing that I know, I'm gonna keep winning. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna let nobody pigeonhole me. I'm not gonna let. I understand that it's gonna be harder to do certain things, but guess what? I'm up for it. I'm not gonna let them sit me down. I'm not gonna let nobody shut me up. I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
The movie was called Redlining, and it came out in 2019. It was called Redlining.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah,
Actually,
it was extremely good. It was a very, very good movie, and it kind of shortly gives you the history of Chicago. So it was really, really good. Very good movie.
so Terrell cousin, be right before we went live, he was sharing with us that his cousin made Black History today, right?
So
So
he actually made it a few weeks back.
okay.
But it's been over the news and it's been growing. My cousin, my little cousin, Charlie Mitchell the third. He has me and him both cook in the kitchen with our grandmother. I was more on the sweet side, and he was just there cooking everything. And he's been cooking since he's been out of school, and he is the first Black chef in New York City to receive the Michelin Star Award. And this is a very prestigious award amongst chefs and cooks all across the world. So I just wanted to, honor him, and because I'm just so proud of him, because he's so humbled. You know what I'm saying? He's so humbled, and he just is so talented. Some of the things that he make, I just be looking like, what is that? I don't even want to eat it. It's so pretty the way that
The
the food
presentation,
is
yeah.
created and everything. So, Charlie Mitchell III, look him up. He's been on the news here in Detroit. He's been on the Today Show. He's all over Turo. He's like literally
Ooh.
making some major moves. So shout out to him. Just got engaged, just turned 30 years old. Like,
Wow,
Okay.
congratulations.
my cousin out here, he doing some good things. You know what I'm saying? And the name of his restaurant, he's co-owner, is Clover Hill out in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow, that's impressive. And I think, you know what? He deserved this. Hold on. Yeah, salute to you, man. Keep doing your thing. I think it's important to share certain stories and things like that. Oftentimes we don't hear and see those things. So, and because it's close to home, because not only is he your cousin, he's a
Yeah.
native Detroiter.
Yes,
So
yes.
keep doing your thing, man. Keep reaching for the stars. We got about 7 minutes left for the show. I'm going to ask this question. How do you feel as a Black woman in today's society, Shay? Do you feel like do you have it easier, or do you feel like you have it harder? I know you and I talk about our professional endeavors and what we go through and certain things, and how, like, one, you feel and you have to be extra because you work in a male dominated
Yeah.
industry. How do you feel about being a professional Black woman in today's society?
I have my days. I'm not gonna lie. For the most part, it's okay.
Hmm.
It could be so much better. But I actually work with, I want to say maybe 7 Caucasian guys. That's
Okay.
white. Well, Caucasian. I'm the only African American, and I'm the only woman
Hmm.
in my department. And I owe too much. I know exactly what it is to feel like you cannot make a mistake and you have to be perfect. Because I literally drive myself insane some days trying to make sure that I'm absolutely perfect with my delivery, with my information, with my presentations, with anything that I have to do. I'm almost every day beating myself up to make sure if I have to do it, I go over and over and over it again because I have to be perfect. Um Not because I don't want to make a mistake, but because I don't want to look stupid. And it's stressful at times. Then you have those days where it's good. So I think it's a mixed thing. I think my biggest issue with being African American woman is that you'll have there are African American men that will support a Caucasian person, whether white or black, because they're Caucasian and they feel like for whatever reason that gets them brownie points. And they know that these people are not as educated as you, as qualified as you, but they will literally look you in your face and tell you that you don't meet the qualifications or you don't have the skill set, and you know for a fact that you do. That is the most hurtful, let down, thing that you could ever experience as a black woman, looking at a black man and thinking like, wow, that's one of the things that I don't like. And I don't like it about our black men, that they feel like, once they get with a white woman or once they become friends with a white guy, that somehow that makes them non-black anymore, and that they have some type of privilege over you. So I have my days.
Right.
It is challenging, but I won't complain.
Terrell, how do you feel as a professional Black man in today's society?
Um, Kind of like what Shay said. I work in a predominantly woman industry, and white industry in property management. And, you know, when you go in the room, like you can't half step, you got to cross your T's, dot your I's, because it's almost like they're looking at you for that aha, I knew it, you know.
Mhm.
So you have to make sure that you show up. Um, one of the things about me that I never really shared is that as a black man, I don't feel safe ever. Um, I don't feel like I see people running in neighborhoods, and I never feel like I could ever do that. I just never felt safe to do it
Mm.
because I feel like somebody's gonna feel like I don't belong. Why am I running? Where am I running from? So I've never even at a young age, I never felt safe running in a neighborhood or around the city. Like it's just because I never felt safe, you know.
Wow. I think for me,
Mm.
I, I have mixed feelings. I think um, I, I feel like I have to be almost perfect.
Mhm.
I work in IT, and as you guys know, IT is a Chinese, white, and Indian dominated field. I
Mhm.
am the only black person in IT. Um, and I almost have to, it's almost one of those things where you have to know what you're doing. Whereas when we have meetings and we talk about something and we talk about it. Well, I can't just talk about it. I have to research it because I know I don't want to be made a mockery out of. Um, Oftentimes, and it's funny you say that, Terrell. When I run into a store and I, want to throw on a hoodie and a hat, I also oftentimes think, oh, I'm going into the bank to get withdrawal, make a deposit. Let me take my hat off. Let me take my hood off because I don't want to be deemed as a about to stick up a place.
Mhm.
When I'm driving, I'm making sure that I'm extra legit. Tags are good, registration is good because guess what? I know I don't want to give them any reason to pull me over. So being a black professional male in today's society, it is rather scary. But I'm here for the challenge. I'm not easily persuaded. I'm not easily intimidated. And so I'm gonna keep doing what I have to do. But it is a scary situation. Um we have about like less than 2 minutes. And whoever here, do anybody want to win some money? What I'm about to do is I'm gonna drop the link in the comment section. The first person to hit the link and come in, I'm gonna ask you guys a Black History question. If you guys guess it right, you can win a cash prize. I know y'all want some cash, right? Let's
Can
see.
I jump in the link?
No. Let's see. I'm gonna copy this, and if you guys are still here, we'll wait a couple minutes. If we don't get any volunteers, we'll keep our money in our pockets.
Or I can jump in the link.
All right. So we'll get two people. So I just dropped the link. The first person to jump up here, you don't know what question I'm gonna ask. If you get it right, you'll win something. If you don't, hey, guess what? You get some camera time. So we'll wait and we'll see if anybody gonna do it. And if don't nobody want to win the money, hey, we walk away still with money in the bank. So yeah, we're gonna ask a few questions. And while we waiting on people, make sure you click the link, you guys. Jump in here if you want to play this game, and you can win a small cash prize. I want to ask you guys a question while we waiting.
No.
Who was the first black woman to serve as a U.S. Supreme Court justice?
I
You
just
got
read
the
that.
one is
Ah, I just saw this.
hold on. Is it one Shirley Chisholm, two Carol Mosley Braun, or three Kataji Brown? Who want to go? I'll let Shay go.
Brown. I said Brown.
Ketanji Brown?
Yes.
And you are absolutely correct.
I just did a report on her. That's how I know.
Terrell, you here? I think
I
Terrell
think he's on
gone.
mute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. What's the question?
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a question.
All right.
What was Muhammad Ali's nickname? I'm gonna give you three options. Was it
Okay.
the Fridge, the Mookie, or the Greatest?
The Greatest. Hold
You
on.
are is that your final answer, or you want me to read them again?
One more time. Read it again.
The Fridge, the Mookie, or the Greatest?
The Greatest.
Are you sure that's your final answer?
Yeah. 10 toes.
You are absolutely correct.
Sting like a butterfly.
I'm gonna ask you guys one more question, and if not, we're gonna close out. Let me see a good one. Let me go. Oh, this is a rather easy one. Soul Train was created and hosted by which TV presenter? Arsenio Hall. The first person who raised their hand. Arsenio Hall, Montel Williams, or Don Cornelius?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Don Cornelius?
You sure that's your final answer?
Yeah.
I'm always giving people. Is that your final answer, Terrell?
Yeah.
Look, I'll say Arsenio Hall. So you got the
Okay, and the winner is T. It was Don Cornelius.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that one. So
I
I
didn't
have
know
a
that.
question for y'all,
Okay.
Okay.
and you got to raise your hand.
Okay.
All right.
What day, month, and year was Martin Luther King assassinated on?
What date and month? You say what?
Date,
I should know this.
month, and year.
Hey Siri, you hear that?
I know it happened in
Give me the year. Give me the year. You got to raise your hands.
Oh.
You got to raise your hands. Okay. All right. What
Was
was
it-
your year?
1968.
And what's your guess?
For the year?
Yeah.
1965.
All right. So, Kevin, you are right. It was 1968. But
Okay.
can you at least give me the month?
Was it? I don't know why August. I'm saying August.
Close. Well, not close, but kind of close.
September?
It was April. April the 4th.
I was gonna say April.
Oh, April 4th,
April
1968.
1968.
Yep. And was it Memphis?
It was in
Montgomery?
Nope, he went to Memphis.
Memphis at the hotel.
His spiritual guide told him not to go because he was gonna get assassinated.
Really?
And he still went. Yes.
Wow.
His spiritual guide told him not to go.
And
Yeah.
he still went. Wow.
Yeah.
To save the people, y'all. So listen, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. We want to thank you guys. What's up, Bree? What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. We greatly appreciate all of you for tuning in every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to get better with the time. Again, I want to apologize for tuning in late.
He was gonna get better with this.
But please, guys, if you on YouTube, be sure to like, share, most importantly, subscribe. We are still a growing channel, and we need you guys' support. If you on Facebook, don't forget to like and also share. Tell someone about it. We talk about dope conversations. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Is there anything you're going to leave the people with, or how you guys want to do it?
Happy Black History Month. Celebrate your people first. That's my only thing.
Okay. What about you, T?
I'm gonna double down on that. Happy Black History Month. Go and support a Black business. Go buy a Black product. Try something new. Also share content all month long. Share their posts. Tell somebody that they're beautiful. Do all of that. All of it.
Hey, Bree.
Okay. I don't know what to say after that, but what I can tell you guys is that even though this is February Black History Month, one of the shortest months of the year, Black History Month is every day, and Black History Month is within you. So don't just use this month to celebrate Black history. Use every day. Research yourself. Research people. we know about the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X, the Sojourner Truths, the Madam C.J. Walkers. I encourage you to go out and step out to learn about someone who created something a name that you may not know, that may not get the everyday accolades like some of the others. There are a plethora and tons of talented African American men and women. So please just do some research and you will find out that. And again, I thank you guys for tuning in to episode 44. We'll see you in episode 45, if it's the Lord's will, next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. We love you and thank you for supporting the Bearded Man Chronicles. And we are out.
See you later.
Y'all.